much, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm not used to this kind of energy.
You rule.
Everybody sit down and be really boring. This is the kind of crowd I'm used to. Okay?
We're fighting for our lives. 9/11 truth. You're the man, Richard. 9/11 was an inside job.
Oh my God. You guys are unbelievable. I'm telling you, unbelievable. It's incredible to be here. I can't speak like Eric, lawyer, or firefighters for 9/11 Truth. I'm just an architect, not a firefighter. Those guys know how to talk. But I'm learning, and I'm getting excited already. It was 3.5 years ago. I'm a Reagan Republican, right? I'm just driving down the road on my way to a construction meeting, and I'm listening, for some reason, to KPFA's Guns and Butter with Bonnie Faulkner. And who did she? Let's hear it for Bonnie Faulkner. She is the single voice of 9/11 related truth newscasting on the West Coast. And she has to fight for her life. So let's make sure we support her. She's on the brink of financial implosion, for lack of a better word. So please, if you can see it in your heart to help Bonnie Faulkner, go to her website. And I don't remember what it is, but support her. Also, there I was listening to KPFA, and here's this elderly gentleman talking about this alternative theory about how these collapses happen. And I couldn't believe this. I'm going, I believe the experts, right? They told me what to think. Now here I was looking at an explosion of the World Trade Center Twin Towers in the morning of 9/11, and the experts are telling me this is a gravitational collapse due to structural weakening by fire. And I mean 2 days after the event. They're telling us exactly what happened. And I'm going, well, wait, they're telling me this, but I'm seeing this. I must just be insane. And all of that is unconscious. Now, how many of you knew on 9/11 that these towers were brought down by explosive controlled demolition? There's always a bunch of you. And how many of you knew something was really wrong with the whole story? A whole bunch of the rest of you. Well, thanks for waking me up, because your support of Dr. David Ray Griffin gave him wheels. And without Dr. David Ray Griffin, we might not have any architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. So let's give a big hand to David Ray Griffin, too. So there he was talking about the beams being hurled 50 to 70 miles an hour out of the side of the Twin Towers. There he was talking about the ends of these beams dripping with molten metal. There he was talking about the fact that we don't have 110 floors found at the bottom of either tower. How many floors do we find down there? 50, 20, 10, not even one. There's a pile of rubble about 2 stories high. That's what he's telling us. And I'm going, well, that doesn't sound like a gravitational collapse to me. I would expect to see 220 acres of floors stacked up on top of each other, 110 in each pile. There's a 2-story pile there. He was talking about concrete, 90,000 tons of it pulverized to a fine powder like talcum powder in mid-air. That doesn't happen with gravitational collapses. He was talking about a sudden onset of destruction through the path of greatest resistance, the building not tipping over. That didn't sound like a gravitational collapse. He was talking about a near free-fall acceleration of these towers straight down to the ground in 10 to 12 to 14 seconds. It begins at 2/3 of free-fall acceleration, almost as fast as if you drop a brick off the top of the building. That doesn't sound like gravitational collapse, which would have to slow down as it crushes 40,000 tons, 80,000 tons of structural steel underneath the point of jet plane impacts. That didn't sound like a gravitational collapse. He's talking about several tons of molten iron found at the base of all 3 World Trade Center high-rises, flowing like lava, the first responders said. That didn't sound like a gravitational collapse either. What did he say that was found in this molten iron? The evidence of thermite, a high-tech incendiary used by the military to cut through steel like a hot knife through butter. Aluminum, iron and oxygen and silica, manganese. This is really, really a problem for the official story. Office fires can only get to be about 1400 degrees. And these are the hottest office fires. But these fires in the South Tower particularly were going out. The black smoke, indicating oxygen-starved fires. So what is producing all of this molten metal? What molten metal? John Gross says. There's no eyewitnesses. There's nobody who's produced it. And so we go back and forth in our latest film, showing all the eyewitnesses, all the people, all the productions of it, the videos, the photos, molten metal pouring out of the side of the Twin Tower, the South Tower, at floor 78, 10 minutes before it collapses. Oh, that's aluminum from the jet plane that's been melted. Oh, really? Well, aluminum from a jet plane that's been melted looks like aluminum from a jet plane that's been melted. It's silvery. It doesn't glow bright orange, yellow in daylight conditions. It's something else. Could only be molten iron or structural steel. Dr. Stephen Jones, a physicist formerly from Brigham Young University, who has stuck his neck so far out there that we all are here today, really because of Stephen Jones. Let's give him a And let's support those who are sticking their necks out, like Dr. Stephen Jones, in whatever ways we can. He, through the grace of his own heart, doesn't charge for his speaking events, and he has a pension, I guess, which is great. I don't. I have a 401k that's going like this. So we're going to need your support. That's why we have to charge for these events, by the way. So please become a sustaining member of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. Asking all of you for as little as $10 a month. I mean, if you have a job, you can support us. Each individual member of the 9/11 Truth Movement, of We Are Change, and all the related organizations can support at $10 a month. I'm telling you, we can do incredible things. What we can do is place ads in the engineering and architecture magazines. We can go to the AIA conventions, which we've now done in San Francisco and in Washington, D.C. And we have given hundreds and hundreds of architects the truth, one-on-one and in classes. And I'm telling you, when they see Building 7 drop, their jaws drop along with it.
Yeah.
And they say, what is that? That's obviously a controlled demolition. And we say, oh, that happened on 9/11. What? 9/11? I thought there were just 2 high-rises. I'm not kidding you. Building 7 is the 3rd worst structural failure in modern history. And almost every architect and engineer knows nothing about it. And it takes an incredible education effort. And we have the ability to go to them because we are them. Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. So we need your support to go to these conventions. It takes $2,500 just to submit to get in and try to get a booth at these places. So we put our big 60-inch screen up there. We put Building 7 on it, dropping again and again and again. And they look at that and they can't stop themselves. They walk by and they stop and they look at it, and we start talking to them about the features of controlled demolition. The fact that this was this drops in at free fall acceleration for the first 2.25 seconds. Free fall acceleration. Now guess what? Buildings do not drop at free fall acceleration and crush 40,000 tons of structural steel on the way down as if they weren't even there. It has to slow down. The building can't convert all of its gravitational potential energy into kinetic energy, which is motion, falling in free fall, and do any other work. By the way, it can't crush 90,000 tons of concrete in the Twin Towers. It can't produce